Triple Shot Mindset.
I think one of our problems as human beings, me first in line for that problem, is that I wait for perfection to start a journey or to finish a project or to see my ideas come to fruition. And I think a part of me being an artist, I've read so many times that first impressions are the only thing that matter. So for me to wait and procrastinate and wait for the right time, the right project, the right timing, it just pushes my ideas down the list of priorities to a point that 10 years later I see someone else doing it and I realize, shoot, I should have done something faster. So as much as I like my artistic mind to dictate that perfection is something that I have to strive for, I think giving myself permission to start and be imperfect, I think that's the goal to have in mind moving forward. And I had this idea about a license plate maybe 20 years ago. And the idea was for the license plate to be digital in a time where digital stuff didn't really make it out to the masses. And the license plate would flash orange, let's say, if the car was stolen. It would flash red if the registration was expired. And I drew it out and I thought exactly how to go about doing it and who to pitch. And I got stuck on the name. For 20 years, I thought about the name. And then I saw it online, maybe a year ago, that they said even though Big Brother says it may not be the best solution, there's a few countries around the world who have embodied that idea of running with a digital license plate. And it took me 20 years, not on the idea, what it was, the details of it, but the name of it. Because the name had to be perfect in my head.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that ad, I think I threw my phone down to the ground and I just kicked myself because...
How can you kick yourself?
Well, I'm very flexible if you haven't seen me before. But to me, that was something that the universe brought for me. It gave me a good 20 years to massage it and go to market with it. But it said, you know what? You're taking your time. Let me give it to someone else who will take it over the finish line. And I don't think the name or the branding was that great either. It was something like JJL Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
But they went to market with it.
Yeah.
So my question to you two is, how do you guys get your ideas off the ground? And why don't you, if you have a great idea?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mm.
Any preliminary thoughts, Kevin?
I think I procrastinate. I like to blame ADHD. I like to blame everything except myself. So it's a good thing to think about why. I wish I had the answer. Like, speed of implementation is so important. But knowing that, I still get stuck on the details and I have to sometimes slap myself out of it.
But why don't you see the big picture?
I do.
And the finish line?
I do, but I always feel like the foundation has to be perfect for the building to be perfect. And I get stuck on the foundation.
But there are so many times that, let's say we create a website or a logo, and I send to the client, and right before it gets to the client, you intercept it, and you massage it for 3 or 4 more days, and then it goes out.
I'm the massager.
But don't you think perfection at least it's very subjective to you. That subjective perfection is blocking you from experiencing other areas of your life authentically?
Well, speaking of authentically, I think being a perfectionist is my authentic self. When you send the logo over, I see little things that may have to be tweaked.
But
in
that's
your
opinion.
In my opinion,
So it's subjective then.
kind of, but also not really, because I know sometimes you just want to do it quickly for speed of implementation, and I feel like the customer deserves more.
Why?
Time.
Why do you think they deserve more?
Because I see things. I'm a seer. I'm a doer. I see things that may not be perfect in my eyes. And I always want to align with the brand of our company that everything is so perfect when it goes out. So I get stuck on making it perfect in my own opinion. And often my massaging does help. I would say 60% of the time it helps, but 40% doesn't do shit. So I like to think about myself as if I'm doing the logo for a company, I see my work being the foundation, the starting point of them growing into a massive tree and bearing fruit. And I think to myself, the amount of work that has to go into the logo has to be so perfect that their tree will grow and bear fruit.
But how many times have you looked at a company logo? Let's just talk about logo, not personal lives right now.
Sure.
How many times have you seen a logo? Let's say a T-Mobile logo. You're like, oh, what the heck is that? A pink box with a T in it, right?
Yeah.
It's not the perfect logo, but they're a multi-billion-dollar company. The license plate idea, I saw it and the brand sucked, but Turkey and a few other countries have picked it up. So it's not necessarily what you think, like you're worried about the bow on top, right? Whereas the idea, the box that is within, you're not willing to do anything with that until this bow is nice and correct. Is that something that you want people to appreciate and love and admire that part of that versus the big picture that we usually late on, the website, the everything else? Because perfection is great, but there's past perfection is like, I don't know, being too particular. And I think we get stuck in that. Like for 20 years, if we would have just slapped a logo on that and gone to market, we could have been billionaires.
Well, here's the thing. Both of you need to pay attention. The idea, yes, implement and go to market. But what I see a logo or website as being is, it is not the bow, it is the package itself. It's what's inside. That's how I see the project. Because I'm executing, and execution has to be perfect.
But it's not what's inside. Again, that's like the surface. That
No. I'm talking about, you mentioned websites and logos for customers.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the idea, I'm executing it, and I need the execution to be perfect. It's not okay, let's do this so that we can, you know what I mean? Like what we do here, we're creating what's inside the package. We're not putting the bow on it. That's how I see it.
I think when people get stuck in the procrastination stage is because because if you over massage anything, then it loses its oomph.
Do you agree? Being over massaged loses its oomph?
It depends on why you're massaging it.
Like shoulders?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's all about where you think the substance is. For example, you think the substance will show up in the product and the idea. You think the substance shows up also in the product and the idea because you believe that our logos and websites are our products. That's why you're making them perfect.
Absolutely.
So it's just a difference in where you think the substance lies.
So I think the big picture is, yes, sometimes we take our sweet time doing things, and I need motivation to get me over the finish line. And I think the motivation sometimes it comes in terms of bills that need to be paid. Sometimes that pushes me.
But you've heard that thing that people say perfection trumps progress, right? And a lot of times we get, let's say in a relationship, if you meet someone and you want them to be perfect, you want them to have six, whatever,
Pack.
the six pack, they'll be 6 feet tall, they have 6-figure income, they fit every bill, they're your best friend, they're your supporter, they're your leader, they're your partner, they're your equal. If you go through life thinking that everything has to be perfect, then you're going to end up spinning your wheels a lot of times. If you can accept a project or a logo looking 90, 95% perfect in your opinion. Now, if it was an objective thing, if we're all, picking the white color of the walls, I'd say, okay, let's come up with a perfect color because we all agree on it. But it's a subjective to you. So if I come up with a few logo options and it goes through you, then a few days later, the customer calls and says, you guys are late. Oh yeah, because my brother intercepted those logos and he's massaging it to his own point of view, right? That's a little bit of a problem, I think. It's great that you're a perfectionist, but when it goes beyond perfectionism, I think that's when you run into a wall.
Think about it. A plastic surgeon. Is it his opinion that the nose is now perfect? Stitch it up. Let's go. Does it would like two partners in a dental office say 95% good enough? Just stitch it up. Let's go. Or do they want it to be perfect so that their work shows?
It's art. It's not.
That's art too. Plastic surgery is art.
Okay.
Making your teeth nice is art.
Okay. You could have, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be your end result. Mine could be 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 4, 1. Right? It could be a different way of approaching it. If let's say we had a restaurant and you had this, 11-inch, sandwich, right? Okay. And it had to be this baguette, it had to be that kind of a mustard or whatever. And I came in and said, well, I like a hoagie roll instead. It wouldn't be imperfect. You want a certain thing to look a certain way. That's why projects stay on your desk much longer than they should. I'm talking about this not just a work-wise, but life-wise as well. Because if you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect timing, the perfect everything for you to make a move or grow or whatever, it's never going to happen. Because there's always things you can tinker around with and make more perfect in your opinion. So while you're here trying to make something perfect, life is going by.
I will say this. In some cases in life, yes. In some cases, no. You cannot make a blanket statement about everything in life. I think that's fair.
I didn't say blanket. I said in life, there are certain instances that you have to say, this is as good as I can get this. Let me move on to the next project. I think the amount of pushback to the perfection stops progress. It says something deeper about your need to be validated by everything and everyone, right? I'm just going to put it out there because I didn't know you were this gung-ho about perfection. I thought, yes, you want to be as good as possible and move on, but the way things I'm hearing, if a psychologist was listening, there is a deep sense of you need someone to say, oh my God, this is great, some kind of validation before you can be happy. I think for you to be able to move through life, like this is just one example, right? Our aunt, one time she was trying to make food. Remember that night we went to her house in Iran? Dinner was supposed to be at 7 o'clock, and finally it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and no one was eating because she had to throw the dishes away one after another. This is too overdone. This is too not overdone. And we all walked away hungry, right? If she would have just put a food on the table, we should have said, okay, this is her standard at this point for the circumstances that are around it. We're going to eat it. We're going to be thankful for it, and we're going to move on. But the fact that she couldn't get one meal on the table in the 7 hours that she had with her guests, and everyone walked away hungry, I think that embodies like how perfection can really fuck up your progress.
I think you have a point when it comes to idea implementation.
Okay.
Run with it. Like, don't wait for the perfect time, or having a kid, don't wait for the perfect time. But when it comes to executing, forget my work, but like any other industry, if your dentist was in a rush to just good enough, if you're a surgeon, okay, good enough, if you're the cook, okay, good enough, just get it, then that would affect the brand, the livelihood of that person, because that person is meant to do their best. It's not to, okay, because I need to get rid of this quickly to get to point B. I don't know where point B is. You've planned, maybe they're planning, yeah, if you want to open a dental office quickly, go get a place, call the phone number, get somebody to come measure. Okay, I agree with that.
What are we measuring?
Well, enough for carpet, for flooring, whatever. But once you're now doing what you're supposed to do, or you're doing what you're passionate about, I think it's completely okay to take your time. Not be ridiculous and take like 8 months to do one brochure, and at the end have to give the money back to the guy.
See, let's say Picasso, right? His drawings are all like, it looks like my 7-year-old drew it, right?
You don't have a 7-year-old.
6. But sometimes when Darian draws something, it looks like a Picasso drawing, right? If you're measuring yourself against this, I don't know, like this
Your own standards.
immeasurable, no, that's your subjective opinion.
That's still, it's the same way a chef says, oh, that's not good enough, don't take it out, I'm going to make a new one. It's not like,
Because if, let's say there's too much salt, let's say the meat is undercooked or overcooked or it's burnt, those things that everyone, her, you, me, mom, everyone can see, that's something that no one can deny. Oh, yep, that is burnt, send it back. But if that logo behind you, like I send it to print within like 20 minutes of making it, right? If that you said, oh, well, that the R is too pointy in my opinion, that's your opinion. Her, me, and 100 other people could look at it and say, that looks great. When you talk about food, when you talk about a dentist's job, when you talk about a house being built crooked, those are things people can measure, right? What you're measuring is your standard, and your standard cannot be the measuring stick of what everyone else should be doing. It cannot be your measuring stick of stopping your progress. You never put out anything bad. Everything
that's because I spent a lot of time on it.
You don't, even on your worst day, you don't put anything out that's substandard. There's this level of standard, let's say 90% or higher, that we strive for. I don't put out like a 15 or a 20, and you have to shape it up to be 95 for you to be able to show it. It's not like that. But you said this is how it has to be, and that level of control you need, and then afterwards, like validation you need, I think that will stop you from growing in all areas of life, not just design. Design, just forget design, but everything else you have to have a certain standard, which I think the standard is not what everyone else sees, it's the only thing that you see. Even when we want to go out.
Oh, the most important.
Even when we want to go out, let's say play basketball, for example, or we want to go out, have a juice or whatever, the level of attention or detail you have in how you dress, how your hair looks, if one thing's out of place, versus I think, okay, the situation calls for me wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt and a cap, and that's it. So it's not, I'm doing a disfavor to the people we play basketball with by dressing up like this, but you have a higher level that you want to be seen at. I think that perfection creates a little bit of issues with progress.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
You?
So on to the topic at hand.
Idea, implementation.
Idea implementation. What do you do when you receive an idea and it lights your fire? Do you juice the idea for dopamine by thinking about it endlessly and never do anything about it? Or do
B.
Or do you throw it away completely? That's option B.
Oh, see.
I'm just kidding. Or do you take a step in the direction of implementation?
It depends.
Tell us more.
My kids had this book, What Do You Do With an Idea, right? And I love that book. And if you guys haven't read it yet, go read it. But the idea behind the book was once you get an idea, you got to nurture it, you got to bring it to fruition, and then you got to let it go so that everyone can take advantage of it, right? If the idea comes out of...
Take advantage of it.
Well, for example,
Like
if you
enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Be made better by it.
I'm kind of same thing.
Yeah. I'm with you.
If you come up with an idea out of desperation that I have to pay my bills, this is a good idea, let me just quickly run with it. Because it's out of desperation, it's not in line with your authentic self, with your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's just temporary.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get anywhere.
Yep.
The best ideas are the ones who come out of inspiration.
Yes.
The ones that wake you up in the middle of the night and say, I want to do that. I don't care if it makes me money. If it doesn't make me money, it's going to make me money one day. But it's not based on, I have to pay my mortgage in 3 months from now. Let me quickly run with this.
Yeah.
So we have to gauge our ideas based on why do we have that idea and where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And if you keep waking up with it, you have that idea, it's burning your whatever. It's like the one that we drew over here for Triple Shot Mindset. What we're going to do with Triple Shot Mindset. The energy that I had behind it, and I still have behind it every time I open that website, it's immeasurable because it's aligned with my purpose. I don't know how we're going to make money off of it, when we're going to make money off of it, how it's going to unfold, but I trust the universe that it will get to a point that it will be very, very beneficial for all of us in more ways than just financial. But if the idea is, man, I need to do something, wow, let me see. You know what, I'm going to make this in a chunkier manner because if I can sell 100,000 of these by next Tuesday, I can be able to put my kid in the, private school.
Yes. Well, what you're saying works perfectly with the third step of my 3-step program for implementing your ideas.
You have a program?
She does.
I do. And
1995, right?
92, actually.
1992.
And the strategy is my own. It has worked for me and it continues to work for me, but I don't expect it to work for everybody. Yeah. I think there are as many ways to live as there are people in this world. Just as I say, there are as many paths to enlightenment as there are people in this world. Yeah. Everyone has to discover their own. But I am more than happy to share
Please.
The MST system.
The must.
MST. Yeah. The must minus the U. So my first recommendation for preparing is to understand that once you've received the idea, there's a gap between receiving the idea and action. So if you intellectually try to figure out what the step is going to be once you receive the idea, you're only coming out of your mind. You're only coming out of your patterns. And the interesting thing about that is if you come from that place, that's where you've done everything else in your life. So if you've never achieved something you're proud of before or true, consistent, quote unquote, greatness, it's probably not the best idea to take the first action your mind thinks of because that's coming right out of your patterns. So you'll just land exactly where you've always landed forever.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is get very, very still. The M of MST, can anyone think of what it could be?
No.
Meditate.
Meditate.
Mindfulness. Rather than leap into an action, take days or weeks or even months devoting time every day to meditating on the idea, feeling into the idea. Not how do I make this real, just connecting with it like you would with a lover or a partner. You don't go up to your partner, grab them by the shoulders and shake the shit out of them and say, let's get closer. What do I do to get closer to you? You just get close. So that's M, meditate. Meditate on the idea itself, the frequency of the idea, because ideas are intelligences and it will possess you and it will lead you and guide you without you needing to intellectually analyze it. Part 2 is self-love. That's the S of our MST.
MST.
Self-love. So if you get stuck at any point, sleep, nourish yourself, inspire yourself. Would you ask a battery that's only running on 20% to use its juice to create the greatest thing of all time, knowing that you only have 20% battery? Will that really be able to give you the electrical charge? You'll get 20% greatness, and then it will die right when you're hitting like something good. So first we meditate, then we self-love, 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 because you don't want to be a shitty battery. I don't think. Maybe you do. It's up to the viewer, like I said. And finally, T is toward. And this is where you and I are perfectly aligned. If you're running towards something, the idea itself, the frequency, you will have guaranteed success. You will have intrinsic reward from completing your idea. But if you're running away from scarcity, from fear, from being alone, if you're running away from some circumstance you don't like and you're using the idea as a vehicle to take you there, you're actually making what you're running away from the frequency focus.
Yeah.
So you'll become more scarcity, you'll become more stress, you'll become more pathetic, more alone. Whatever it is you're afraid of, you'll just multiply. Boop, 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 every time you try to run away from something.
Yeah.
MST.
M. So let's go back to the M.
Meditate.
Meditate. So it's my understanding that the universe will throw out some ideas.
Yes.
Let's say the license plate idea I had, right? And it throws it out there and says, okay, it's out here for anyone who wants to tap into it. It's there for the taking.
Yes.
And so if I sit down on it and I start meditating on it a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, at which point am I overdoing it? Because if the next person also sees that idea and he reaches out and grabs it and says, okay, you know what? I'm going to run with it. I meditated on it, or I'm attached to it. I see the beginning and the end. And I'm going to do this the next month. And here we are meditating on it. At which point do you think you're overthinking it or overdoing it? And at which point do you have to put the speed of implementation in so that you can actually start running with it?
That is a phenomenal question. Asked
Absolutely.
like a true master and important. So
A good master.
meditation, I don't want anyone to assume that I mean think. I don't mean think of the idea. That is not what meditation is. Meditation is not thinking. It's awareness of thought. So you're not overthinking the idea. You're not thinking about the idea. Instead, you're connecting with the frequency of it. If it's a story, you're developing the story. If it's a license plate, you're developing the technology. You're developing the image. You're doing what you do with logo and websites. You're massaging. You're playing with it. You are drawing closer to it. It's different than implementation because you're getting to know it. It's like dating before marriage. Instead of just plucking someone off of a catalog and saying, I choose you, let's get married, and then having the most fucked up marriage forever after, you are getting to know them. You're deciding if your idea is even a frequency match with you. Because guess what? There are infinite ideas being dropped out every day, and sometimes you'll have a bunch that don't align with you. They don't. Like we can think of some of the domain names that you've created over the past few years, and think about if
what was that name of that
URL.
What's that thing called again?
the domain name.
What?
Domain name.
Perfect.
And if you tried to implement some of those domain names that you've created from before, now, and I'm thinking of one in particular, that as great of an idea as it might have been, not in alignment with you now. I don't think.
It is with mine.
You're right.
Which one?
It starts with O.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd love to see you make a website out of that now and see how that would mesh with the image that you've created, including with Triple Shot Mindset. What I'm telling you is just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's gold. So the meditation portion of it is determining whether or not it's a fit for you and you're a fit for it.
All right. Got it. However, at which point, let's say you're trying to find yourself with, at which point do you think, okay, it's not for me? Is it the more you meditate on your
If it's
energetic
aligned
pull?
with you, you'll begin to feel more energized toward the action. If it's not aligned with you, misaligned, you will feel more depleted. You might love the idea. You might return to it many times, but you won't go anywhere with it.
Let's take relationships, for example. That was a great segue when you said you don't pick out a woman just
Out of a catalog, choose her, marry her, and then have a fucked up
right.
marriage for 30 years.
So with that said, don't you think if you sit down, let's say you're an avoidant, and you sit down and you see someone come who fits the bill of being a wonderful guy or a woman or whatever it may be, and you sit down and you start meditating on this energy, you start even thinking about this guy, can you think yourself out of a good situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why are we associating thinking with meditation?
I'm not. I'm just thinking about your MIT, whatever it was.
MST.
MST.
MST. Your MST Sounds great.
So let me clarify meditation. It is getting to know. This is what meditation is, getting to know. When you
Yes.
meditate, by default, you're getting to know something.
Yeah.
If I meditate on Kevin, I'm getting to know his energy. If I meditate on love, I'm getting to know it. If I meditate on my mind, I'm getting to know my thoughts. That's what mindfulness is. It is much different than thinking.
But
There's
someone
no
like
thinking
you,
involved.
but someone like you who has mastered the art of meditation, by the way.
I have not mastered shit, but thank you so much.
But you're on that app. You're on that app.
Yes, go meditate with me on Inside Timer. But I am by no
Inside
means
Timer.
a master.
But you're more evolved than, let's say,
I
someone
don't
like
think
my
that's
dad.
necessarily true.
Or it's true.
Okay.
If you put my dad and you in a room and said, both of you meditate, my dad would close his eyes and would fall asleep. And he said, oh, I think I meditated.
Well, then let me explain it. Let me remove the word meditation and say instead, get to know.
Okay.
Get to know.
Okay, but
Is your question like at some point somebody else is going to jump on the idea and going to say, fuck, I took too long?
no.
Okay.
I'm thinking to myself, at what point do you get to know something?
Yes, you're really hung up on time. I noticed it with your analysis of Kevin as well. It's like you take too long, you take too long. You don't want to miss out. FOMO, that's a big thing. So as you said to him earlier, if a psychoanalysis was taking place on you,
Sure.
they would probably say, whoa, Artie, why do you have so much FOMO? The process of getting to know something is essential, just like getting to know a client before you design a logo, to
Right.
delivering something great.
Right.
If you're focused on quantity over quality, then maybe it's not really about idea implementation for you. Maybe it's just about production.
I didn't say that. I didn't say quality or quantity over quality.
You didn't say it, but the focus
No,
is
no,
oriented in quantity over quality.
No. I said, and here's a quote that I'm going to read for you guys. The path doesn't wait for perfection, only permission.
Wait is what?
When you wait on something, let's say if I wait on an idea, like let's say I want to jump out of an airplane to...
Why do you think you're waiting? Why is meditation or getting to know something a throwaway
process.
thing?
No, it's not a throwaway. It's not a throwaway. And I think that's where you and I differ.
Definitely.
In that when I say, for example, if I meet someone and we have a good date and I go back and I start thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking
Thinking
about
was never part of the MST
meditating
process.
over it, trying to
No,
get to know
in
it.
the case of dating, you're getting to know the person.
Okay.
It's not abstract. They're not an idea. They're flesh. You go get to know them. You go on another date and another date and another and another and another and another. That is your dating. You could say meditation is the process of dating your idea, scribbling, writing things out about it, getting to know it. But if you don't have that stage, you don't have any substance. So in the end,
Well,
you'll
we've
create
been-
a shell
we've
with
been,
nothing underneath it.
We've been meditating over triple shot mindset for about a year now. Right?
We have not.
I have. At night, I think about it. I think about
Meditation has nothing to do with thinking.
not thinking. I've been trying to see how much of an alignment I have with it.
Okay.
Okay. So when I have that for the past year, maybe you two haven't, but I have. That's why when I drew it out on that board over there, it got me excited because it was the first step to actually quantify or like put something in the physical form that moves us towards that. So for me, getting to know my idea and getting to know the ups and downs with it and fantasizing over it, I'm not talking about meditation, perhaps. Maybe it's I'm doing other things. I don't know what to call that. Some of it is
You're
thinking.
thinking.
Some of it is thinking. Some of it is fantasizing. Some of it is like getting in touch with it and see, how does it pull on my heartstrings. So those things I've been doing for the past year. And so when I put it down on paper, in my opinion, it was very exciting because it finally brought the juices out, and it's just as exciting or even more exciting today than it was a year ago for me. So I know I'm in alignment with it because the purpose of it is also for my growth, for me giving back to the world. It's not necessarily to pay off this house or this garage, right? So I'm saying in the big picture of things, let's say you came up with a great idea for a book or a TV show or a movie, and you're like, this is going to be great, like, Pepper or whatever. And then our speed of implementation, taking it to market or taking it for it to be read, would take so long that they say, oh, we already had this other story. It's called Salt, very similar to what you guys have. We'll pass on yours because this one was better. I'm not talking about the meditation part, but although that's a very great system, I think you have to be aligned with the subject that you're trying to either attract into your life or whatever. I'm saying from a perfection standpoint, if we all wait for the perfect time to do it, there's no perfect time.
So what would your system be that you recommend to our listeners and viewers that's worked for you?
I think it has to be aligned, obviously, with your dreams and ambitions and with your purpose. It has to be aligned with that.
How do you know that?
I think it's just the way it makes you feel. Like there are certain ideas I've had. I'm like, okay, this is a great idea, and I convinced myself to push for it.
But then how do you turn it into something substantive? Because that's the whole question we're asking here. How do you have a good feeling idea all day, every day? How do you take that good feeling idea and turn it into substance?
I think the ones that stick with me day after day, night after night, week after week, after a while I say this has some merit to it. There's some ideas that come into my head. Oh, this is a great idea if this switch was like instead of up and down would be left and right, for example. Right? Oh, I'd make $1 million, if everyone just did left and right. Right? But then the next day I said, that was a cool, interesting observation, a cool, interesting gadget, but it doesn't align with my purpose. But for me to wake up in the middle of the night, and as soon as I think about that, it brings me calmness. And honestly, like Fridays are my favorite days. Not because it's the day we do this stuff, it's because it's the one day out of the week that I get to live my dreams and ambitions. And my heart is happy. Like a few times that you couldn't come on a Friday and we couldn't work on that, to me, that was like a bummer.
How do you bring an idea into substantive manifestation?
I think you meditate over it, but after a while you write it down, you come up with steps on how to make this a reality. You write down the list of to-dos, like business-wise, marketing-wise, taking to market-wise. And then, as Robert Herjavec said, write down 3 things every day that you can do to get yourself closer to that. And if you can write those three things down, and I think where we get stuck, a lot of people do, is because they write, okay, make a logo, make a website, for example, whatever, first day or first week. And people like us, we get stuck on that initial phase. There are people out there that I've met, the $50 billion guy that I had lunch with. He said speed of implementation is everything. If you have a great idea that's pulling on your heartstrings, that is aligned with your purpose, just do it. Like run in there, give yourself permission to run in there and do it and get it done. And the universe will provide ways for it to get to the finish line.
That's Nike's motto. And yet, it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Of course it is.
So maybe just do it maybe isn't sufficient.
Yeah, of course it's not sufficient enough. But I think if you give yourself permission to not be perfect in the pursuit of that, it will get you closer to it than if you're stuck on the perfection part. I think a lot of us get stuck on that perfection, even in dating, even in picking a house, picking a life direction. We want it to be perfect to a point that we overthink it and we burn ourselves out before we even get started. But the way I know I'm on purpose with this thing is because I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes thinking about it. Like it's on my mind. Not in a bad way. I'm like, wow, this is great. Like I feel it somewhere here. And there's no end game for me. It's not like it can make me money. Yes, I'm gonna live in Newport Coast. That's not what the feeling is. The feeling is it's in complete alignment with me. And that's why I want to just run with it. I'm like, okay, I've massaged it in my head for so many months. Every time it comes up, it gives me an energetic lift. Every time I draw something or make something forward, it's just so infinitely
satisfying. Thank you. You're welcome.
that it has to be my purpose. So, and I
Wow.
just just finishing thoughts, you people.
Oh, we went to clap.
I thought that was the end.
No, that's going to be part of the video. You guys
We'll
clap at
see
me.
about that.
Okay.
We'll check with the editor.
I see what my brother's saying.
Yeah.
Now I've realized the wrong of my doings.
I see it too.
I saw you guys spending time I was gonna say this. You guys were spending time on that website. But you did so why? Because it felt good to do it. Right? Picking those 3 backgrounds for those 3 sections of the website.
Yes.
You did it because you're like, oh my gosh, I want it to be this way. I want it to be this way because it would be perfect in your eyes, right? That's how I feel about my customers. It has to be perfect in my eyes. However, I also do see that if we're going to spend 9 months on this website changing backgrounds every day because we had a new, wow, let's try this, it would never get launched. So you're right. We give it our best, though. That's the thing. We don't just quickly slap something together for the sake of getting it out. That's not right. We give it our best, but we don't expect it to be perfect.
Yeah.
We just give it our best.
Beautiful.
And you?
I just agree with everything Kevin said.
Really, everything.
Yeah. I see the wisdom in what you've said as well. And I can't wait to see your systems bring Triple Shot Mindset to greater life than it's ever had before.
You know, we love the systems. We're going to bring a lot of people into Triple Shot Mindset, TSM publishers, and the podcast, and everything else we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of great things. And I want a monument here one day of me leading you to
Arc de RD.
Arc de Ardi.
Octard.
Ards Triumph.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right.
Triple Shot Mindset.